All right, so I laid out the basics of this story for you. Al Jazeera, you know about their anti-American message that they spread on their cable network in the Middle East. But they have an Al Jazeera English-speaking network as well. And it's now been sold to Al Gore. Al Gore, the owner of Current TV, shutting down his operation and selling to Al Jazeera Media Group. Now, Al Jazeera has been trying for years to get onto TV in the cable market here in the United States without success, but Gore's made it happen for them. And he's going to make about $100 million in the process. A man who has raised some concerns about this has been with us before. He's the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, author of A Battle for the Soul of Islam, an American Muslim patriot's fight to save his faith. We're happy to have him back here on the Frank Beckman Show. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, how are you? Good to talk with you again.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Frank. Thanks for having me back.
So what raised your eyebrows first about this deal that Al Gore cut with Al Jazeera?
Well, I think it's the fact that if you look, what happened all of a sudden now, where the cable companies and satellite companies didn't used to think Al Jazeera was fit for our airwaves, and now they do. And the only difference is Al Gore. So, for years, as you said, they've been trying to get into American living rooms. And this is no small feat because we are, as you see with the Muslim Brotherhood taking over Egypt, you see the Islamists ascending in Tunisia and across the Middle East with this so-called Arab Spring, which is more like a Arab awakening and shifting from secular dictators towards Islamist dictators, that ultimately we're in a war of ideas. This administration the Obama administration, has not been entertaining any type of method of fighting the war of ideas and advocating for liberty. We've been calling for a liberty doctrine in the Middle East to advance the ideas of liberty. And instead, it seems like they're coming onto our shores and pushing the ideas of Islamism or political Islam here. And, Current TV didn't have much of a viewership, but what it had was access to all the major, cable networks, et cetera, to get them into the living rooms. And Al Jazeera carries already a significant following with 60 million viewers in the Middle East. So they're going to have no small audience to bring here.
Let me ask you this now: if we're going to believe, though, in our American ideals and the Constitution and the exchange of ideas, and believe that exchange is good, and that we ought to have free speech not limited by government, why shouldn't we allow them on our airwaves? Why shouldn't they be on cable or satellite TV, Zuhdi?
Well, because it'd be sort of like, during the height of the Cold War, giving the Russian, the Soviets, this is a private company. These are private companies that are selling themselves to Al Jazeera in order to give them access. They can have free speech through the Internet, free speech through, if they want to set up their own networks and newspapers here like they're doing anyway. Nobody's stopping them from doing that. But what they're doing is they're selling real estate on the airways that is American real estate to foreign entities that are based on these are not American Muslims. This is a foreign entity based out of Qatar, funded by royal families that are totally in bed with Islamist ideology. And at the end of the day, the bottom line, Frank, is the ideology. If you watch Al Jazeera, we watch the English, and by the way, the Arabic is far more extreme than the English. And you watch the Arabic Al Jazeera, and you see that the primary ideology driving them is the belief in the hegemonization globally of Islamist interests, where political Islam will rise. The Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, which are 56 Muslim-majority countries that have come together with nothing else in common other than the fact that they're Muslim majority. And what they want to see is the ascension of that. And you see Al Jazeera has, if you look at David Frost and a number of others that have left Al Jazeera, they've said this is not a free speech entity. This is an entity that controls the ideas that are on its airwaves and is anything but free for hosts and others that are on it.
What they have an Al Jazeera English-speaking network now, don't they?
Yes, they do. They have Al Jazeera Arabic and Al Jazeera English that does have Washington and New York offices.
And what is broadcast on there? Is it the same message that they broadcast in Arabic, or is it different?
It's different. Some of the same stories will overlap, but they've been trying to mainstream themselves, so they have a lot of Western reporters that work for them, and they are a news and opinion network. So they'll, they have provided some information source for a lot of what's going on, but you can't get past the ideological bents. If you look at their ideology, a lot of what they've said. If you look in the height of the Iraq War, for example, a lot of the Al-Qaeda tapes happened to end up with them that they then aired. A lot of if you look at the coverage of Abu Ghraib and other things, it was 24/7 anti-American videos at the time that just enraged the Middle East and brought about the deaths of a lot of American soldiers. Al-Qaradawi, which is the leading Sunni imam globally, which he has a show called Sharia and Life that has called for denying the Holocaust. He has called for terror against Israeli citizens and against Americans in Afghanistan and Iraq. So they have advocated for ideologies that are clearly security threats to the United States.
Mm-hmm. And would there be a different message that we're going to see broadcast on American TV? What do you foresee from them?
Well, I think, again, they're smart. They're savvy. They're well-funded. They use Western PR firms and are trying to become a part of the media fabric here. So they're not going to be – that's why the Arabic and English messages are so different. And we saw that with many in the Middle East. From Arafat on, they say one thing in Arabic and say something different in English that's more sanitized. So here, their goal, they're going to maintain some of the same hosts. I would ask, and in our release on this weekend, what we're asking people to do is pressure the cable stations to not honor the current TV. This is not current TV anymore. This is Al Jazeera, and I'm surprised many of those hosts that were part of Al Gore's progressive, quote-unquote, network are going to take paychecks from folks that are based in Qatar that have societies where people get arrested for tweets, they get arrested for asking for equal rights for women, etc., and I just can't believe that many of the hosts of that network are not going to push back on a network that doesn't advertise and publicize all of the rights that are infringed for free speech in Saudi Arabia and many of the Gulf states.
Well, I'm happy to say that our former governor, Jennifer Granholm, has at least announced that she's not going to continue there. So that's one plus in her column. But you think others are going to stay there, and eventually the pressure mounts to take sides in key political issues that involve the Middle East, and whose side are the hosts going to be on? I think we know.
And I was watching Jay Leno last week, and I saw Joy Behar say, well, Al Gore, Al Jazeera, Al Pacino, she doesn't care. And, that might be funny, but in the war of ideas, this is the greatest threat. The war is not about terrorism, which is simply one symptom. This war is about an ideology that's trying to permeate globally and spreading Islamic states and political Islam, and this is now the entry point into the West, and we've not been fighting it, and as you just said, we're not taking sides like we should be.
Well, we're going to see it on our shores. How soon could this happen, Zuhdi? How soon could the whole deal be approved and go through? And is there any sort of approval process yet to be done by those cable operators?
Well, from what I've read, it appears that it's gone through, and that it's a done deal, that the $500 million is exchanging hands, and basically in the New York Times reporting that the current TV is going to, and the satellite networks and cable and Comcast, Time Warner, are going to honor all of the contracts. But I think if viewers push back, as they have, not allowing Al Jazeera before, instead of coming this backdoor route, I could see them changing their mind, but it's going to need a lot of pressure from viewers.
Well, and so it'll be up to each individual to do that. We appreciate the time this morning. Thank you for bringing it all to our attention. It's going to pay big dividends for Al Gore. He's got $100 million deal here to get this done, and he apparently earned the money by getting DirecTV and Dish Network and Comcast and Time Warner and all of these cable companies apparently to accept Al Jazeera in replacement for current TV.
Yep, He sure did. It's $500 million, and he had 20% interest, so he got $100 million, and he sort of sold his soul. And we're in a war, and hopefully people will wake up that this is a war of ideas, and this is their step into our soil.
Zuhdi, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Best of luck to you. Happy New Year. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, the president and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. And if you feel so inclined, contact your cable operator and let them know that you don't want to be paying for Al Jazeera on your cable bill. That's your only option left. We're happy to raise it for you.